What is my note? That's what we're going to do in this particular lesson. What does it mean by a note? Now, when you're reading a passage, you have to make a decision. What are the things that you want to keep in your brain, and what are the things that you want to leave in the passage? A note is, if I were to write a note, maybe about 3 words or 4 words, not more than that, 4 words maximum about that particular passage. What is your 4 words about the passage? Actually, what is the 4 words about each of this paragraph? That's a note, right? So, in the last lesson, we looked at tone, we looked at purpose, and we're going to use all of that to write the note. So, when you're actually reading a passage, imagine that you are driving through the road called the passage, and you're going through it. Sometimes you want to go fast, sometimes you want to go slow. You're riding at different speed. Usually what happens, we ride at the same speed, either very fast or very slow. We pick up unnecessary information and we don't pick up the relevant ones. So a stop is where I'm actually going to stop and take the information. A green is it's go. I'm reading it, of course, I'm riding that path, but I'm not too bothered about what's happening around. And this yellow signal is where I'm trying to decide, should I stop or should I go? So what is that I want to pick? What is important to me? I want to look at the purpose. I want to look at his idea. What is important to me is to look at what is a claim, any claim made by the author, opinion of the author, any conclusion that the author has drawn. Please do understand, every paragraph has just that one idea, one point the author wants to put forth, right? So how do I differentiate the claim? And I think actually before that, what I want to let go, in the sense that I'm not going to bother too much, are reasons given or details given, examples given, justifications given for this claim. Let me explain this by an example. Let me go back to the example that I always use. Let's say alcohol is the primary cause of domestic violence. And I'm saying, therefore, alcohol should be banned. Right. I have statement number 1 and statement number 2. If I ask you to pick one statement to remember, what is the statement that you want to pick? You want to pick statement number 1 or you want to pick statement number 2? Please understand, this statement number 2, this particular statement is the claim that alcohol should be banned. And why alcohol should be banned is because of this reason. That is the reason that is given to justify that particular claim. I am interested in the claim, and this is therefore what I'm going to pick. What the author wants to say is that alcohol should be banned, and all that author is given is certain reasons to justify that particular claim. What you want to understand is, reason is important, yes, but I'm very important. When I'm reading for the first time, I'm not bothered too much about the reasons, example, justification, because they'll have a lot of details. I'll obviously come back to it if I'm forced to come back, or if some question asking some specific question, then I'll come back to it. But while I'm reading, I'm interested in the claim of the author. And what is my yellow signal when I'm deciding whether to go this side, whether to stop or go, is one thing that I want to look at is all these transition words. However, for example, for instance, and things like those, and any question the author raised. Those are the kind of things I'm saying, okay, fine, I'll probably love to figure out whether what comes next is important. Usually what happens in any paragraph, if you look at the structure of any paragraph, usually what happens is that the author usually makes the claims upfront. And then the claims are usually made in the beginning itself. And then you have all the justification that is given here. Usually, not always. Right. So let's look at one example. It's a passage which has got 5 paragraphs, and then we will solve those 3 questions that follows, right? Now, when I'm reading the passage, from every paragraph, what I want to do is, what is my point? What is that my idea that I want to take? I want to write no more than 4 words. Can I express this, what I was given, in 4 words? That's a 4-word challenge. In 4 words. Can I say 4 to 5 words probably maximum, not a sentence. You should not write a paragraph. You should not have a notes that you take is actually bigger than the paragraph. Doesn't make any sense. 4 words, 3 words, 2 words. Can I express the idea that is given in the paragraph? Let's see how. Let's start with the first paragraph. The first paragraph starts, in God Delusion, Richard Dawkins talks about our inherent psychological tendency towards logical fallacies. We have an inherent tendency towards logical fallacy. This is apparently what is mentioned in this book, which is God Delusion by Richard Dawkins. Great. And then it's going to say, he references cargo cults. Tribes that formed superstitious belief. And this particular part here seems to be, looks to be an example, or let's say an evidence, which kind of justify the claim that is made here, that we have inherent psychological tendency towards logical fallacy. Our inherent psychological tendency towards logical fallacy is a claim, and to explain that claim, this example is used, which is cargo cults. It may so happen that the subsequent paragraph may talk about cargo cults, and maybe that cargo cults hero the story, but very unlikely. Okay, so this is what it says, in God Delusion, we have inherent psychological tendency to logical fallacies. He references cargo cults, tribes that form superstitious belief around the arrival of US soldiers upon their islands. They believed that communicating on the radio and marching in unison with all rituals that brought precious gifts from the heavens in the form of supplies that came in by airplane to the island. They saw what to them looked like strange ceremonial dancing when the soldiers were marching, and the logic was that this was a ritual to be performed to please the gods, and who then brought goods beyond their wildest dream. They saw A came before me and made a logical fallacy. Again, you have this logical fallacy being made. So what is important here? What is important to me is, obviously the context of the discussion is God Delusion by Richard Dawkins. Let me pick another color, okay. In God Delusion by Richard Dawkins. And what he's saying is that we have a tendency. We have a tendency towards making logical fallacies. 4 words. My note. That the paragraph talks about tendency logical fallacy. And I also know the cargo cults in the first paragraph. Any question forces me to come back, I'll read whatever is mentioned here. For the time being, I'll leave it. Okay, we have inherent tendency towards logical fallacy. Let's look at paragraph number 2. Genus Homo have possessed logical reasoning skills for millennia. And there is that word, which is however, our transition word. However, we may not always possess the knowledge upon which to base them. Okay, we have logic, but not knowledge. Logic works when based in knowledge, and this is evolution advantage. Oh, good statement. We have the statement, ladies and gentlemen. Logic works when based in knowledge. This has evolutionary advantage. And then you look at the next part of it, is just justifying that claim, that logic works with knowledge. When our ancestors saw the prints of an animal in the sand, they had the capacity of understanding what an animal had been there, and this was reasoning based upon knowledge. We know what kind of prints a certain animals would make, and we could deduce from seeing the print which direction animal was going in. This was useful in both hunting and avoiding predators. When the paragraph talks about something very specific and reasons, you understand that's a justification. I'm interested in more general claims that is being made, and that general claim is being made here. So logic works based on knowledge, and this is the evolutionary advantage. Oh, my note, my 4 words. What are my 4 words here? So logic plus knowledge has evolutionary advantage. Done. Great. This is what I'm going to take away from paragraph number 2. Now, if you already are looking at a link, we have to make logical fallacies. We have a tendency to make logical fallacies. and kind of explaining why we make logical fallacies. Because logic is based on knowledge. And it has got advantage. Let's see where it goes. The third paragraph start by saying, as our knowledge increased, we realize what causes disease and what can be done to prevent it. We know how to engineer our way out of famine with our knowledge, crops and fertilizers. This is continuing the justification of the earlier claim that knowledge plus logic is awesome. And this is continuing justification of the claim that logic plus knowledge is good. Okay, the failed logic of the old has been abandoned. Okay, then he says logic is a powerful tool when combined with knowledge, and we have the key transitive word but, and this is where I'm very keen and interested in. Without it, it can misfire and lead to one to believe things that are unreasonable. Oh, if we don't have knowledge, we believe unreasonable thing and often harmful. Okay, now he's saying that logic minus knowledge, okay, is bad in the sense we started believe wrong things. Okay, so that's what is being claimed here. So if you look at the map, start by saying tendency towards logical fallacy, logic plus knowledge is awesome, logic minus knowledge, bad. Next paragraph. The fact that superstition, that's where the discussion is heading towards. Superstition makes sense. In the previous paragraph, it talks about wanting to believe things that are unreasonable, believing wrong. So that's superstition. Okay, so basically saying that logic minus knowledge creates superstition. I think that's what he's arguing. Is so prevalent in the species would seems to suggest that this has evolutionary origin, and this is something that Dawkins discusses in God Delusion. Okay, superstition has got evolutionary origin. He argues that we have an intuitive dualism, which is the propensity to believe that there is a separation between the mind and body, stating that dualists have a tendency to personify inanimate physical objects at the slightest opportunity, seeing spirits and demons even in waterfalls and clouds. He talks about how we assign agents when there are none, getting angry at traffic light as though they are personally out to get you, for example. And here is where I think that a lot of bouncers could happen. You have these words like, so you almost be going, what's going on there? We have words like intuitive dualism, mind and body, state in the dualist. Okay, so but I'm saying that what I'm going to say that superstition has evolutionary origin. Superstition evolutionary origin. I'm going to leave that and say that superstition has evolutionary origin, and leave that there. Okay. And I said if some question forces me to come back, and then I'll come back. For the time being, I understand it has got evolutionary origin, and that's all I'll do. Next paragraph. Knowledge and reason are best tools we have to advancing our advanced species both morally and scientifically. Superstition causes many people to act in ways that a person possessing the facts simply could not. People who believe crystals have magical properties, people who believe that certain diets can cure cancer, people who believe that homosexuality is an abomination, people who believe is in ridiculous conspiracy, the list goes on. None of these beliefs are based in knowledge, and logic behind them is flawed. It's time to move on. We don't need to appease gods in order to ensure we won't get smallpox. We conquered practical application of knowledge and reason. He is basically saying that superstition ko hatao, gain more knowledge. There's no need for superstition, we need knowledge. I think the author is almost here, is actually telling us and almost saying, do this, actually instructing us, do this, that's the problem. Okay. Now if you actually look at the map of the passage. Okay, so the first paragraph, I think let's go and check one by one what did I write. Okay, so the first paragraph is actually talking about we have a tendency towards logical fallacy. The next paragraph say that logic plus knowledge is good. Second paragraph, logic minus knowledge. If you don't have knowledge to base the knowledge, that's what creates superstition. Superstitions have got evolutionary origin. Okay, then he's saying that superstition, mat karo, have gain more knowledge, and that's what science gives us. One, this is my map. Okay, can you see now the linkage between this, where it is moving? He introduced the concept of logical fallacies, and then he goes on to argue as to why logical fallacy exists, why superstition exists, and then he say that don't be superstitious. So can you read the passage like this? And this is a easy skill to kind of acquire. It's not very difficult skill to acquire. It's about understanding, and don't read everything as though everything is equally important. No, everything is not important. The claims for the author is important. The reasons behind it, leave it. When the question forces us to come back, we'll come back. So let's look at, for example, question number 1. We'll do 3 questions. Author gives an example of cargo cults. Now, I know this in paragraph number 1. To highlight which one of the following. The question is why cargo cults? So now I know it is in paragraph number 1. I'll go back and look at paragraph number 1, and then he say that there you go. Okay, he started by saying that we have a psychological tendency towards logical fallacies. Okay, and he has used cargo cult as an example to say that we make logical fallacies, logical flaws. That's why he brought in cargo cults, the whole discussion. Cargo cults was an example justifying the claim that we have a tendency toward logical fallacy, and that should be the answer. Understanding wider picture does not necessarily. What is wider picture? This wider picture is something that is alien to the whole discussion. What is wider picture? What we see may sometimes not be what they are meant to see. What is this see here? What are we seeing in this case? We are talking about superstition and logic. Okay, and then you have this nice statement: understanding without knowledge leads logic to become fallacy. How tribes develop superstition? How certain tribes develop broad? Is talking about one tribe. That one tribe is cargo cult. They use the example not to talk about how tribes develop superstition. That's not why he said. He's wanted to tell us the fact that understanding without knowledge leads to logic becoming fallacy. How logical fallacy happens. Done. That's question number 3. Actually, if you think about it, you don't have to go back to answer this question. You read these 4 answer choice. 1, he has not mentioned. 2, he has not mentioned. 4, is broad. Only makes sense. 3 makes sense. You really do not have to go back to the passage to answer this question, by the way. The main idea, we don't have to go back. Welcome the realization that failed logic is not good. What do you mean welcome? The author will, I think, commit suicide if you mark this answer choice. Failed logic is not good. Yeah, that's great. That's not what the author is saying. That's bad. So welcome is a bad word. Okay. Well, welcome in this case is actually the bad word. Oops, where is that color? Okay, let's pick yellow. Okay, next one. Highlight that logic is powerful when combined with knowledge. This is actually a true statement. Logic is powerful when combined with knowledge. Okay, we'll keep it on hold, but he's asked about the main idea. This is a true statement. We'll hold this and we'll see because that's a true statement, right? Explain how dualism sometimes misleads. Dualism is just a small part of the whole discussion. Dualism is an example somewhere. That's definitely not the main idea. And explain the reasons behind superstition. Explain the reasons behind superstition and denounce it. Now between these two, we have to hold these two. Which is the better one? We look back at notes. Okay, first he looked at how superstition got created. Then eventually he said that superstition is not to be there. This particular part, that this particular thing, the logic is powerful when combined with the knowledge, is one of is here, which is one of the justification. If you look at from the overall perspective of the passage, one of the justification used to eventually make the claim that superstition is actually bad. So in this case, ladies and gentlemen, the answer to this question is answer choice number 4, and answer choice number 2 is not good, not the right answer choice, even though that is true, by the way. That's not the right answer because we are looking at the main idea. The main idea is about superstition, how to denounce it. Question number 3. Which of the following behavior is less likely. Now these are the kind of things the author wants to trap you. Author wants to trap you by using the word less likely. Now if you kind of miss the word less likely, it's gone. And the author would have created an option to trap you by just using the word less likely, by the way. Which of the following behavior author less likely superstitious, which means I am looking at something that is not superstitious. So eliminate all the things that is superstitious. Students blaming is leaking pen for failing exam. That is reason. If pen is leaking, then obviously you can't write. Cricketer blaming his number on his jersey of missing out a century. Superstitious. Doctor certifying the healing touch of prayers. Superstitious. So obviously this goes, answer choice is 1. You notice that there is an answer choice 2 and 3. That is just to look at those lazy people out there who will miss this. If you think about these 3 questions, once you've read, and we have not taken too much of stuff, we took only the basic understanding. Okay, and you could have actually answered the 3 questions without actually going back to the passage. So what is the key here? Here is the ability to take notes. When I say notes, the challenge is 4 words. From one paragraph, nothing more than 4 words. What is your 4-word? 4-word challenge. And that would mean I need to understand what is the claim the author is making. Okay, and I need to look at what are the reasons. Your ability to look at reason and tell yourself, okay, fine, I know he's just given a justification. I'm going to focus on the claim. I will obviously read the reason, but I'll not break my head too much on it. I'll come back if that question forces me to do. That's how you read. So you learned something today. Happy learning. Bye.